to do and go and do that. You, because before you know it, you're gonna be dead. Aren't you? And you know that I know that you know it's the truth. Come on, get up. Do you, please? Thank you. Hello, ha hee ha ho ha. That's the riff I've been working on this week. I hope you like it. If you don't, there's nothing we can do about that. It's art. Thank you very much. Welcome back to another show. Do You is the name of the show. My name as a human being is Reuben Christian. I'm a presenter and comic based in East London. And if you are new, welcome to the family. I hope you stay around for some tea and eggs. I have this great love for eggs. If you listen to some of the other episodes, I just keep talking about eggs, man. It's where life begins, I believe. Where life begins. Now, if you are new to the show, Do You is a series of uncensored conversations with those doing what they love in order to keep the rest of us inspired, to give us a bit of inspiration to get out and keep doing what we're doing. The people I'm speaking to are an amazing set of human beings. They get up and take initiative and they do what they believe they're on earth to do. And hearing their stories, learning about everything they've gone through has just changed my life for the better anyway. And I hope it's changed at least half a person's life. I'm happy with that. Now, today's doer is a guy called un-censored. He is a club and radio DJ. He's a promoter. He's a record label boss. And he's a music journalist. He's an all-round music G. Yeah, that's what I'd call him, an all-round music G. And what's interesting about his story, what I learned from the interview, is that Dom believes everything up to now in his career has been an accident. That's what he says, right? He says he accidentally became a sound engineer. He accidentally became a DJ. He then accidentally started running his own nights. He accidentally started running a record company after that. Then he accidentally became an international DJ. I mean, he was a DJ prior, but then he became an international DJ by accident. And then listen to this. He then accidentally started a festival. Southern Soul Festival. You can check that out. It's southernsoulfestival.com and it's on 25th, there you go, 25th to the 28th of June 2015 AD. Although everything was organic and it was an accident, I understand that. Something tells me this guy was determined, focused, had a plan, and he just kept working his arse off. I'm sure he did, but he's a very humble guy, and his story's been fucking interesting, man. It proves that when you're focused and you're doing what you love, things just start happening, and he took advantage of a load of things, and he's just living a great musical-based life. I went down to his house. Immaculately clean. That wasn't an accident. That's him immaculately keeping everything in place, and it's just a beautiful space to go in and work. And yeah, I love the house and I love his art. You're not going to see that though, so don't hate, people. If you want to check him out online, it's you can check him out on Twitter. It's un-censored, DOMSERVINI, and the record company that he's currently running with his peeps is Wawa 45s. That's WAHWAH45S on Twitter, and wawa45s.com is the website. Now, if you're new to me, my name is Reuben Christian. You can check out my work at reubenchristian.com, REUBEN Christian, spelled like the religion.com. All social handles are /Reuben Christian, other than Instagram, which is Reuben Christian 1. If you liked this interview, feel free to share it. If you didn't, give me a shout. Let's just work on improvements, man. I hope you're inspired. I hope you're motivated. Let's listen to the story. Peace out, baby boys and girls and cats and obviously eggs. Do you find out what you're here to do and go and do that? You, because before you know it, you're gonna be dead. First and foremost, thank you for having me. Your house is meticulously put together, man.
Oh, bless you. Thank you very much. I feel like I should be saying thank you for having me, but okay.
No, man. Thanks for inviting me down here.
No.
Bit at unease with a ghetto child like me in this house, or even knowing your address. I don't know, mate.
There's a lot of assumptions going on here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Straight away.
I'm just throwing it out there, though.
Do I feel... I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of do know how to answer it. The answer is no.
Yeah.
And then ask you the question, why did you ask me that question?
I don't know. I walked in this house and it's like, it feels like a showroom. Did you tidy up? Because
you sound just like my wife.
Really?
Yeah, she gets annoyed with me because I tidy up all the time.
Really? It's usually the other way around.
Yeah, I know. Well, there you go.
She isn't messy, is she?
No, is she messy?
Is she messy? Does she create?
See, this is the kind of thing I don't want to be recording. I'm fine to talk about all sorts of other stuff. Like, we've got straight into how messy my wife is.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And, compared to me, yes, but compared to me, most people probably are.
Yeah.
That's my diplomatic answer.
Yeah. Do you have what's the word for people that are ridiculously organised and regimental about things?
You're saying, am I obsessive compulsive?
Yeah. Are you?
Disorder.
Yeah, you're saying the word disorder.
No, you're taking. So you've already called me a racist, and now you're taking the mickey out of my disorder.
Yeah, this is how we started.
I don't know, man. This isn't going well.
I'm sorry, you can get rid of me at any time, man. No, I'm just impressed. I'm impressed by the.
If I got rid of you, it'd only be because of your class.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know. That's what you're saying.
How are you, man?
I'm all right, thank you.
I love your office. I love your space. How long have you been working from home?
Thank you very much. I've been working from home ever since I started working for myself, really. Ever since I started working on the record label full time, which is YY45s.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing that for?
Full time on my own? Well, not on my own, obviously, with people working with me, but from home since about 2006.
2006.
Yeah.
So what were you doing before that?
Well, I was if you want to go back,
actually, before you answer that, from my research, from knowing Lucy, so I met you through Lucy when we came down to one of
That's
your
not my ex-girlfriend Lucy. If my wife's listening to this, it's a different Lucy.
Shit, your ex-girlfriend was called Lucy. Now this is Lucy Werner.
Well, it's not that it's not that unusual name.
Yeah.
And it would be fine anyway. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah. All right. So going back, you threw me off there. Lucy Werner is how I met you. I came down to a party in was it the Wick?
Yes.
Was it the Wick? Yeah.
Yeah, Hackney Wick. Yeah,
Hackney Wick.
Yeah,
were you DJing at that party?
I was running
you were
it
slamming some
and
big
DJing.
tunes, man.
Well, there were a lot of people DJing, but I like to think that the big tunes you're talking about was slammed by me.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, or at least selected by you.
Well, no, I'm happy with slamming them.
And if his wife's listening, he's talking about tunes.
Oh no, they take it too far.
Slam. So you were a DJ before you worked at the record label.
Well, the full story.
Yeah.
Yes, I was a DJ. I started DJing in around 1990 when I was studying down in Brighton. Studying economics for some bizarre reason, which I won't go into now. When I came back from Brighton in 93, I started working in the West End, making tea and toast for people in TV and film in a sound recording studio. I actually got the job thinking it was a music studio,
but it was like voiceover and
stuff. It was, and 12 and a half years later I was still there.
You were still there after 12 years?
Well, I was there between 93 and 2006.
What were you studying at uni?
Economics, as I said.
Oh yeah, you said economics. Yeah. Sorry about it.
Yeah. None of this makes sense. Don't try and make sense of it. You'll be here all day trying to make sense of it.
Yeah. We'll learn.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's just how things happen sometimes. Sometimes things don't make sense, but you meet the right people at the right time, and sometimes that's more important than if your degree's relevant to your eventual job. But I really wanted to work I wanted to work for a record label, which is, funnily enough, what I ended up doing. Actually running a record label, but I accidentally got a job in a sound studio, and then I accidentally went from making the tea to becoming a sound engineer, and then I accidentally became a sound engineer there I was a sound engineer for the best part of a decade there. While I was doing that, because I'd started DJing down in Brighton, and at the time Brighton had an amazing black music scene, like incredible. I started doing things in London when I moved back to London. I started doing Sunday afternoons at the Jazz Cafe in Camden, which I probably got paid like 50 quid for or something.
Yeah, but back then that was all right.
Yeah, that was all right.
Just to get paid to
I used to go to Brighton and DJ for 50 quid, which was insane.
Well, you were based?
When I was in London, I mean, we're talking...
for weekends? Was it weekends?
I can tell you.
Yeah.
When I came back to London, I was doing my full-time job in Soho. I used to, every Thursday, I used to do a night called Bombasso, which I used to do with Snowboy, who's quite a big sort of Latin funk DJ. At the time was, a big hero of mine as well. Bless him. God bless his cotton socks. I used to drive down to Brighton every Thursday, DJ till 2 o'clock in the morning, then drive back.
By yourself?
Oh, my mate used to come with me quite often.
Did you get any of the 50 quid?
I fell asleep once on the wheel on the M25, which was utterly terrifying. He didn't get any of my 50 quid. No, he drank all the beer because I was driving. So he got all the free beer and I drove. And then I'd come back, have about 3 hours sleep, and then go to work, and it was all for 50 quid. But it wasn't for 50 quid. It was to get my foot in the door in this scene, really, and you have to do that. You have to do things for stupid amounts of money, as in small amounts of money, or for no money. And I think as long as there are always points where you mustn't undersell yourself. But at that stage, I was young. I was desperately wanted to get into that scene. I had the chance of DJing with someone who was a real hero of mine. I didn't think twice about it. Made sure that I always got paid more every time afterwards. But getting paid isn't the be all and end all either. So
you knew you wanted to go into music after studying economics, or was this just all accident, a series of accidents?
Well, no, I mean, I always knew I really knew I wanted to get into music. I guess when I was in Brighton, but before that, I knew I did, but I wasn't musical, and I'm still not really at all. I learned the piano for a little while. I'm fantastic on the triangle. I can play the oboe. I can't.
I failed grade 1 too as well.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Muzzle tough.
We're the same.
So like not being musical, and at that time there weren't really like huge amounts of music business courses you could do, or any really. If you're not musical, you either do music because you're musical, or you do business because you're interested in business. Yeah. But there wasn't anything that was specifically music business at the level that I wanted to do it. And I'd fallen in love with Brighton already as a place to go and check out music. So I was just like, you know what, I've done all right in economics at A level. Yeah, I'm gonna go and do that, because it's sort of business and it's sort of stuff you need to know to run a business. So I can't remember any of it now, but I'm sure it's all there subliminally, all the economics, when I'm sort of running this business now.
So how long after DJing did you meet the guys that were running or had founded Wild Wild 45? Yeah,
right. So it was probably about, it was about 98, I think. I was doing a night in London called Mouse Organ.
So 98, how long in were you by then?
Into what, being back in London and DJing?
Into DJing, yeah.
Went to DJing about 8 years, but into being back in London like 5 years. All right. So I came back in 93. So I came back and I started this night, which went really well and enabled me to, I mean, I'll say to anyone, just go and start your own night, do your own thing, do it in your own way. And I did this night with a stupid name, and it was called Mouse Organ.
Mouse Organ?
Yeah. and my whole thing was like, as I am, hopefully, is that I don't, take things too seriously. Like, very few things are life and death, and everything else is just fluff. And I enjoy being silly and having a good time, and especially at that time, there were so many po-faced characters in that industry and that music scene. I was just like, you know what, I want to do something with a silly name.
Yeah, that made no sense. There was no reason behind Mouse. There
were some reasons behind it, but with strong artwork that's a bit silly, and actually our artwork was kind of taking the piss out of people who took themselves really seriously, and we did it in a small grotty venue in Chinatown, and we decorated the upstairs of the venue like a granny's attic, and we had a fireplace and curtains and little black and white TVs and things. And we had people like Giles Peterson came and played there. We had all kinds of
in the early days when you first got it up and running.
Giles played there in '99, I think.
Yeah.
But we have we've had all people like Bonobo, all sorts of people play at Mouse Organ over it ran between 97 and about 2003 or something. 2002, 2003.
So when you got that up and running, were you already quite connected to people in the industry? So it was literally friends that you were inviting down?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I made some connections in Brighton with people, and the guy that I was got a fantastic guy called Jake Holloway, I have to big up, who now helps run Love Vinyl in Shoreditch record shop. He was my DJ partner at Mouse Organ, so he was a big connection for me. But coming back to London and working in Soho, I spent every single day, I mean, when I should have been working really, but every single day in the record shops. Every single day.
As a customer?
Yeah. As a customer, I bought records every day. I bought vinyl every single day, and after a while, everyone got to know me, and then I'd get all the white labels. I've got white labels from that period, which are worth, like white label Portishead first single, all that kind of silly stuff that's now worth like hundreds of pounds.
Yeah, which you still have.
I still have. Yeah, I wouldn't sell stuff like that. So I just got to know people like Kevin Beadle and the guys from the Scratch Perverts, Tony Vegas, those guys, shops like Mr. Bongo and Release the Groove, Jean-Claude, and all these different shops in Soho, you know, hardly any of which are still there. Soul Jazz, who are still there, thankfully. And all those people, and really that's how the connection started. And they got to know me as a personality and a young guy who was knocking around and really into it. And
so they
I wasn't a great DJ. I wasn't a great DJ in those days, you know.
It was about your passion and
it was. I'm not saying I'm a great DJ now, but I'm definitely a lot better. But you know, it was about having that love and interest and enthusiasm and going to Brighton and playing for 50 quid and putting on a night. You know, it was a bit different. And you know, I was. You know, Giles was like my idol, you know, and now he's you know, we're friends. So it's crazy. But you know, even like, you know, it took everything in my power to go up to him and ask him to DJ at my night, you know, and I was shitting myself. You know, and
was it face to
no,
face?
it was in a car park actually. It was in an underground car park between I can't remember the name of the street that Release the Groove used to be on, but just behind Piccadilly Circus. And the other side of Soho, you used to be able to cut through for this underground car park. And he used to go there all the time, and I used to go there all the time. So we bumped into each other in the car park, and I asked him, and he said yes. So
he didn't know you?
He knew me from the shop.
Yeah. But he didn't properly know you personally. He
No.
knew this guy that was just kind of banging around.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't running a label. I was just literally all I was doing was a little bit of DJing in dodgy bars and running this night, which a lot of people were talking about because it was a good night, you know, and getting the right kind of DJs in. And, yeah.
And he said yes straight away.
Yeah, from what I remember. He hasn't said yes straight away ever since. But, you know, he's DJ'd me for a few times. You know,
Was there
bless him, he's done me a lot of favours. So, you know, big him up.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting
I have to big him up. He's only little.
Evidently, he needs all the press he can get, right? Flipping hell, man. Did you, when you asked him to play, did he ask about prices or money or agents or any of that stuff? We just said, yeah, I don't mind coming down and spinning. Or did you have to pay him? I'm
obviously not going to tell you what I paid him.
Yeah.
Mainly because I can't remember.
Yeah.
But and there were no agents involved. I can tell you that as well. Yeah.
And sorry, how long was that night running for?
Oh, about 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Now, when you met people like him, did you ask anyone to be your mentor, or did anyone naturally take that?
Yeah, it doesn't really work. You don't really ask people to be your mentor, do you? I mean, I think I had. You know, Jake Holloway was my DJ partner. We're the same age, so you know, it wasn't a mentor, but he was a massive influence on me. You know, he was much more of a beat mixer at the time than I was. I couldn't do it for Toffee, and since then I can beat mix, and you know, it's not the be all and end all, but you know, he was an influence on me. As was a guy called Richard Simmons, who I used to work with at the company I worked with in Soho, who actually was a DJ as well. And after the first few weeks of me working there, I saw that he was DJing with Giles, and I was like, oh, bloody hell. He used to come down to Brighton with me and DJ on Fridays. We used to do a night called Thank Funk It's Friday, and he was a big influence on me because he was a you know, he used to beat mix, and that was something I really wanted to master. It only took me about 10 years. But in terms of, sorry, just 10 years of DJing to get that nailed. In terms of a mentor, I guess the closest, which will take us into the YY45s thing, would probably be Chris Goss and his brother Simon. So Chris used to have a label called Tongue and Groove in the early 90s, which was kind of, for want of a better word, an acid jazz label. And then him and Tony Coleman, who ran the label, sort of flipped the script a little bit and started a label called Hospital. And they got together as they produced music as London Electricity. And I remember getting their first 12. It was the time I was doing mouse organ. I was like, this is amazing. This is drum and bass, but it's like, it's not like noodly jazz. It's like heavy. It's like heavy jazz, but it's drum and bass. And that just, for me, that was just what I was after. And I knew Chris a little bit because he used to work in soul jazz a little bit, and then later on in Mr. Bongo's a little bit as well. And so I sort of knew him, but again, he was a bit of an idol of mine. You know, he ran a label. He ran 2 labels, and you know, he was a man about town. And Chris is a little bit older than me, so I was, you know, I mean, he's about 35 years older than me now. So I asked him and Tony if they'd come and DJ at Mouse Organ as London Electricity and play a freestyle set, whatever they want, drum and bass, blah, blah, blah. And they did, and it was amazing. I remember them playing Sweet Freedom by Michael McDonald, and it was totally freaking me out. And And you got no idea what I'm talking about, have you?
No,
Brilliant.
No.
And
When I'm silent on names of tunes, just
yeah,
assume
no,
I don't know.
I like it. And
I'll listen to this back and do my research.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
a man with grey hair and a beard from the 1970s with a very high voice, soul voice. Anyway, so I booked them and they had a great night. They obviously liked what I was doing. A few days later, I got a call from Chris saying, "Do you want to have lunch?" And I was like, "Oh my God, Chris Goss wants to have lunch with me. This is amazing." You know, this is the kind of stuff that happens when you just put yourself out there. And had lunch with him. Terrible lunch. I always remember that. It was what's that place? It was called a place called the Stockpot, which I doubt it's there anymore because Soho's become so just awful now. But it was one of those little kind of traditional places that everything was about £2.50, and you know, it's like the cheapest place in Soho, which is very typical Chris to take me to the cheapest place in Soho. I'll say that if he's listening. Hello love, nothing's changed, has it? So he took me there and said to me, I don't know if you know, but me and my brother run a night called Wawa. It's every Friday at the Jazz Cafe. And I was like, yeah, I know, because I come to it quite often. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's like, it was like, I don't know if you can think of anyone, but we're looking for someone to join us and as a DJ on the night. We just need a bit of kind of young blood, you know, to give it a bit of an impetus, because we've been doing it for a little while, and we need. Yeah. And I was like, well, I can think of me. And he was like, well, I was hoping you were going to say that.
He was hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah, it's typical Chris again, though. It's just like, you know, wanting me to, which is exactly right, wanting me to want it, you know?
Yeah.
Wanting me to say, I want to do that, rather than just asking me.
Was there conviction in your voice?
Oh, I imagine so, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it was like brilliant. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, this is amazing. And I think, you know, that was one of the moments that really, you know, changed my life, really.
Yeah.
Just, you know, and it was all about asking him to come and DJ, and it was all about starting that night and doing that night, which was all about just putting my balls on the line, you know, and just doing it.
Being active, taking action, and getting something rolling.
Yeah.
So how long were you DJing with them before you actually started being part of the label?
So I started in DJing with Wawa about 98, 99. I went and met Simon. Simon had to vet me as well before I could be induced into the Wawa family.
What was the vetting process? Well, how the hell does he vet someone?
He just sort of stared at me quite a lot and looked utterly terrifying. I was terrified of Simon. I didn't know him.
That didn't put you off.
He was a big fella, and he was quite serious until you got to know him, and then he was just godlike man. But sorry, I'm gonna get emotional now.
If you need to cry, you can.
No, it's fine. I think I did it for. I started about 98, 99. I wish I could remember exactly when, but it was 98, 99. And the label actually started in 99. Okay. But so it must have been probably 99 I started with them, and the same year as the label started. But they were putting out one vinyl release a year. I mean, it was a real hobby thing, not a serious record label. But, you know, they were putting out 7-inch vinyl with an old track on one side and a new track on the other to kind of reflect the nights that we were doing at the Jazz Cafe.
So what was their full-time gig at the time, if this was just a part-time thing at that time? What were they doing, do you know?
Well, Chris was running a record label.
Okay.
Which was starting to do really, really well. Yeah. Also working in record shops. You've been paying attention.
I've been trying to. There's a lot of information here. Go on.
Simon, which I haven't told you, was I guess, for want of a better word, a social worker.
Okay.
And that's what he was doing. So he was Chris was totally involved 24 hours a day in the music business in all its different forms. Simon was just as much into the music, if not in some ways more so. But he had a separate life as well, you know. So and then I think probably about 2001. Again, I can't remember exactly when, but a couple of years into the label, they, you know, the things were going so well with the club night, and we were so much like a trio that they were like, "This is just silly. Why don't you just join the label as well?"
Yeah.
So, which is what happened at that point. Can I just do something?
Go on.
Can I do this?
Please do. Just make it a lot higher. Is it slipping?
It is slowly, but I'm just. I just thought I'd do it.
I'll tell you what. At least it's not my.
I thought I'll give you a little edit break. Okay.
Yeah, this isn't edited. I like to keep all this in.
Oh, is it? Okay, good. Fine. I can sit up again now. I was starting to have my head on my tummy. There we go.
So when you joined Wild 45s as part of as part of the label, you didn't have any experience in anything bar DJing within.
I had an economics degree. Don't you forget that.
So what did they sign you up to do? Did you forget about the economics?
You know what? To be honest, I don't think they had a clue what they were signing me up to do. I think to give them ideas, really. I think at the time we were releasing one single, as I said, like a year. It was very nothing like what it is now, which is like a machine. A really soulful and family machine still, but a lot of stuff going on all the time with strategies and all kinds of stuff that makes my head explode. But at the time it was a hobby label still, even at that time. I was part of the label, but it was still very much a hobby label. And I guess what I came in to do, again, not really realising I was even coming in to do that, but I guess making it up as I went along, which is how a lot of these things happen. It's how life happens as far as I'm concerned, to a certain degree. I was bringing in new artists. So, because as I said, the thing with the label was a new track on one side, an old track on the other. So we were licensing a lot of old material from like old soul, funk and jazz material from pretty much from major labels who owned most of the rights to them. And that was costing a fortune. Aside from that, I was more interested. I've always been interested in the new music and the old music and putting it together and being open-minded and playing all kinds of things. But I felt like the label needed to have. I felt like the way forward for the label would be to have new music in it and releasing new music from artists who are still alive, whose music we control, and whose careers we can help with. For me, that was a much more useful thing to do than to reissue a track from 1958 and pay a major record label some money for the privilege.
So when you brought these artists in, you literally found these artists because you knew about what's happening on the scene, and you brought them in to meet the other guys.
Well, I think the process is kind of always been the same to some degree, which is that I will only work with people I like. And
that you like the music, or you like them, or both.
Both, without a shadow of a doubt.
What if they're really talented, but they're pricks?
If they're really talented and they're an arsehole, and I don't realise they're an arsehole straight away, then sometimes they can slip in through the net. But as soon as I realise that they are, then that's it. But most of the time, 99.99% of the time, it's all good. I don't want to be negative about this because it's a very positive thing. And a lot of the time, our first artist that we signed was a young guy called Max Cole, who I met because another part of what I do is that I'm a music journalist. And again, at the time, this is just crazy. There was a magazine called Straight No Chaser, which I expect you probably haven't heard of.
No.
And at the time was a lot of people called it the Jazz Bible. And it was much more than jazz. It was like, if it was around today, it would be, everything from electronic music like James Blake to hip hop like Homeboy Sandman or Afrobeat like Dele Shosimi or whatever, alternative country got soul like Jeb Lloyd Nichols or whatever, house music, but all with that kind of soulful kind of family. Kind of stuff Giles played, the kind of stuff I play, that's all in that area. That was covered by this magazine, and it was very much a bible for people who are into that whole scene. And for me, it was just like, this is the magazine. This is just ridiculous. And when I was spending all that time in those record shops, I got to know a young guy called Sean McAuliffe, who worked in one of the most talented DJs I've ever known in my life. And he needs to DJ more, as I've been saying to him for the last 20 years, as everyone says to him. He used to work part-time in a shop called Release the Groove, which I used to spend a lot of time in. And he was also singles editor after Ben Wilcox, who I think was singles editor before him, for Straight No Chaser magazine. And I used to see him every day. I was like, it's an amazing gig that you got that gig, incredible. I'd love to, And the other thing I used to do was every single week, every Monday, without fail, I would write a chart in an email, and I'd do a little introduction to it. I'd give it a silly name on depending on what's happening that week. I'd write a little introduction about what I've been doing at the weekend, where I played, and these are my top 10 tunes this week. And I'd send that out to some silly list of people that I had, like DJs, people who run, and one of them was the guy who ran Straight No Chaser magazine. I did that every week in without fail for years. And when it got to the point that Sean McAuliffe had enough of writing for Straight No Chaser magazine, he told me, and I was like, well, I'd love to do that and whatever. But it wasn't even through. It was through him, but I got a phone call from Paul Bradshaw, who again was one of my idols. He was the editor of Straight No Chaser magazine. He was like, Dom, love the way you write, man. Love the way you write. It's incredible. I've been getting your emails every Monday. Do you want to come and do the singles reviews? And I was just like,
You say it was years you were doing this for.
Yeah, I've been doing it. I mean, ever since I came out to London and, computers became a thing that you could do stuff on and send things to people. We're talking 93 when I came back. Yeah. I was sending out charts every Monday, and I'd been doing it for a good few years. Yeah.
Was there a plan behind that? Was it just to get your name out there and stay relevant?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a plan that if I do this, magazines, my favourite magazine in the world is going to ring me up and ask me to be singles editor. Okay. I mean, that would have been a dream, but that's what happened.
Beautiful stuff.
And I did that until the magazine finished, until it stopped being a magazine anymore.
When did it end?
I lose track. Probably about 2000 and time flies so quickly now. 2006, I'm going to say, something like that. Okay. Probably when I started working from home. Yeah, I definitely wasn't doing it then, I don't think. So around then.
So you've learned everything on the job.
Yeah.
Right? When did you start Southern Soul?
Including being a sound engineer, because I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
Yeah, you just put yourself in the environment. You just learned.
I wasn't technical, and even when I've been doing it for 12 years, I didn't know what I was doing, really.
Still.
I mean, I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, or maybe you just have ridiculously high standards.
But all I did was I just fiddled around with the desk until it sounded great. And that's what I would do. But I'm not a technical person, as Scrimshaw, who runs the label with me, will tell you.
Continuously remind you.
I'm not a technical person, but I just sort of, I do things until they feel right.
Okay. Yeah, let's pull the mic back up. The festival. I mean...
Oh, we're jumping to the festival now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Unless there's anything else you want to cover, because I'm thinking, right, you've jumped into everything, you've learned how things are going. Because starting a festival, right, sounds kind of audacious.
By accident as well, believe it or not.
Yeah, probably just by accident. Someone said, yo, let's do a festival one drunken night, and you thought, fuck it, let's actually do a festival.
Were you there?
Maybe it was me.
Well, it was sort of like that.
Yeah, no, I wasn't there.
It was sort of like that. Yeah. Well, I've been DJing in Montenegro. It's 10 years this year I've been DJing in Montenegro, actually. I better find out when I'm DJing in Montenegro this year, apart from the festival. I've been DJing at this place called Casper, which is an amazing bar in Budvar, right, which is where they filmed a lot of the James Bond Casino Royale film. Okay. That beautiful coastline in Montenegro. So I started DJing there because Simon Goss, who started Wild 45s, got booked there one year, and I think he got booked there 1 year before me, and then he became a bit of a legend at Casper. And then the next year they booked me as well, and I went over there, and and I've been going there ever since. And it's run by a guy called Marco, an amazing guy who loves soulful music, loves black music. He's more into his disco and funk and soul, but he's open-minded-ish. Yeah, it just became a place that just started going to and DJing every year. The thing about Casper is that it's an amazing venue. It's open air in the old town, like a walled old city, right on the coast. It's incredible. But because it's in the open air and because it's the old town, you have to stop music at 1 o'clock. So like, and because the people are the way they are, it's always packed, but people don't really start dancing until like 11:30. Yeah. So you get this like hour and a half, 2 hours of madness, and then it finishes. And year after year, I was just saying to Marco, like, we need to do something that goes later. We need to do this. We need to do something else. And I was thinking about, vaguely, because it's his country, it's his city, I can't influence these things. I was thinking about maybe we could do something in a nightclub. There's some nightclubs up on the mountains. Maybe we could, on a Saturday, we move this vibe to the nightclub after 11 or whatever. And then a year or so later, he was like, I think the best thing for us to do is to do a festival. And I think I've got some places. You want to come back and have a look at some spots to do a festival. So I flew out there an extra time. I flew out there I think it was in January. It was really weird. It was really rainy and horrible. It was a strange time to be there. And we went and looked at a few different places. And I think the second place we looked at was the Dulcinea Kite Beach in I can't remember what the bloody name of the place is now. That's ridiculous. Ulsan, and in Ulsan, just further down the coast near the Romanian border, and the rest is history, I guess. And so we started the festival. It's the third year this year, and it's been going really well and getting more and more people every year.
Wait a minute, I need to pull up.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Right, there's checking out a venue, realizing you want to put a festival on, and then the festivals happen. How do you actually start? Who do you approach first to start the festival in an area? For anyone else that might be
this is a bit of I guess not the normal situation. So I think there's starting a festival and there's starting a festival in a foreign country.
Oh my god! And that was the first festival you've done.
So the only festival I've been involved in running. Really, I had to lean heavily on Marco and Nicola, the other guys in Montenegro. I mean, in fact, I had to leave
near enough
all of it to them because it's a completely different culture.
Yeah,
there's different ways of working. There's lots of stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
There's local councils and police, and there's sponsorship, and there's local there's all these things. So really, my side of the festival with the first festival was quite easy, which was it wasn't easy at all. It was an absolute nightmare, which was booking the bands, sorting out their flights.
Yeah, did you pick them all?
Getting them over there? I picked all of the UK ones the first year, I think, pretty much. But one of the main things we all wanted with the festival was for it to involve a lot of indigenous population in terms of artists. So to have DJs from Croatia, Montenegro, Romania, Serbia, all these different places, and have them play as well. And the first year we had a band from Croatia as well. The first year, which was great. But cause a lot of festivals in Europe, especially a lot of them in Croatia, great festivals. But, all the artists tend to be British or American, and 99% of the people tend to be British.
Of the attendees?
Yeah. So we wanted to attract... I mean, you do obviously get Croatians going to Croatian festivals, but we wanted to attract more of the indigenous population. We've always made tickets very, very cheap for them. We didn't want it to feel like a Butlins holiday camp, which a lot of festivals when you go to Europe do feel like,
Yeah.
So that was one of the main plans. The other thing that I had to do, which I still do, is host the festival. So I introduce every artist, if at all possible. I think I had to miss one last year because I had to go and do something else.
And it's across all 3 stages.
I mean, there's usually a couple of stages going on at the same time. So there's day stages and night stages and blah blah blah. So so that's a part that I really enjoy, and then of course I DJ it as well.
Yeah.
Which I really love doing, and DJing is a thing I love doing almost more than anything else in the world. So and to be able to play on that beach is incredible. It's a festival that's actually on a beach.
I've seen the highlight video, man.
Yeah,
the vibe looks fucking great.
A lot of festivals say, oh yeah, it's on the beach, and it's kind of maybe either like near a beach or it's near some pebbles. This is like the whole thing is on the beach. There's nothing that isn't on golden sand.
How did you feel after putting the first one on?
Exhausted.
Yeah.
Very happy. Financially, it's. I mean, I haven't been involved in it financially because it's not something that I could take on at the time. And my attitude was that I will help sort out all of the artists and all of that stuff and give you ideas and host it and all of that, which is what I've done. I've been, like Marco calls me the main man of the festival or whatever, but that's, what I've always done. Is what I still do is host the festival. I'm one of a lot of people now who's involved in booking the artists, which is great because I don't really have the time, and it's very time consuming. In the first year, it almost killed me. It's just like
prepping for how long in advance? The moment one's finished, are you already starting to book one?
Yeah, you should be. Yeah. Yeah, you should be. And I think we're probably getting better at doing that. But we've got some great people involved in the festival this year, particularly got a big up Petter, who's taking charge of almost all the bookings and absolutely smashing it. And obviously people like Lucy you spoke about earlier, doing PR in this country is massively helpful. It takes a lot of pressure off everyone else's shoulders.
Do you have PR going on over there as well?
So there is PR going over there, yeah. Okay. Yeah, God knows what it is, yeah. But there is, yeah. And in Serbia and all the other countries, as well, yeah.
So what's the dates for this year's festival?
It's the same weekend as Glastonbury, and about a millionth of the price, and actually Glastonbury's sold out anyway, so who cares? So it's the last weekend in June. It starts on the Thursday. It's Thursday the 25th to Sunday the 28th of June, inclusive.
That Glastonbury clash, that must be irritating.
Not really. It's such a, it's like, I don't see why people would say I'm either going to do that or that. It's a completely different thing. Yeah. There's always a festival going on.
Could you have avoided it though?
Maybe, but you don't want to be much earlier in the season because the weather isn't as good.
Okay.
And there are a lot of festivals in Croatia in July.
Yeah.
So I remember the first year we were looking at it, there was a lot of other stuff going on other weeks afterwards in the same kind of part of Europe. So it was more important to avoid festivals around that area than to worry about a festival in the southwest of England.
Real talk, man. Now, you've got a lot going on. Do you prefer working alone or do you prefer working in a team? Because a lot of people I speak to...
That's a really good question. That's a really good question for me. I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
So
very orderly.
As you can see. Not great radio, but as you can see anyway. Oh God, how to answer this and not disrespect people I work with. I like working with people who I trust, which I do.
And it takes a long time to gain that trust.
Yeah, absolutely. So then I don't have to worry about being a control freak because I trust what they're doing and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So Adam, who runs Scrimshire, runs the label with me now because Chris went off to do Hospital. Chris is still part of the label. He's still a shareholder in the label, but Hospital is the biggest drum and bass label in the UK, arguably. So he has a lot to do with his life. And so he went off to do that, and Simon sadly passed away 5 years ago. So Adam was actually an artist on the label called Scrimshire, and he was helping so much with the label around the time Simon passed away that he had been helping so much that it just made complete sense for him to come and run the label with me. He wanted to get out of his job as well, so that was it. And
but was it within the same industry though? Or was it totally?
No, he worked in marketing. Okay. For magazines and stuff. So, but that does make sense because the whole digital marketing side of things, that's his thing. The whole digital thing generally, that's his thing. I'm more about, I guess I'm more about the day-to-day running of the business, the people, the artists a bit more.
You got so much responsibility. What time do you start your day?
But Adam has equal as much responsibility. Yeah. It's just more through a computer screen than mine is. Days are long. Don't go into this business thinking that it's going to be an easy ride. I mean, if you want to put out, one release every now and then and you're not taking it seriously, it could be easy and fun and whatever. But if you want to run a serious record label, then it's a lot of work.
What's your average day like, if you don't mind that?
Without sounding like a bit of an a-hole, I'd go and do some exercise, possibly with my personal trainer.
Why is that an arsehole answer?
Well, saying personal trainer just sounds a bit like maybe I couldn't have said that. And I run marathons as well, so I do that as well. But I exercise in the morning. From sort of 7 o'clock, I'll get up, or 7:30, get up and do that, and then I'll get myself in front of the desk and go through all the emails. I mean, you can really get yourself bogged down going through emails and spend your day actually just trying to empty your inbox.
So I was going to say,
which a lot of people do. I tend to have sort of bursts on it where it's sort of it'll get really heavy and then I'll just have a blitz and then it'll get heavy again, and then I try and answer people as quickly as I can.
Thanks for getting back to me, man.
But it's all part of being a control freak and trying to be sort of tidy all the time. That I do actually try and keep my inbox as tidy as I can. And then a couple of days a week I have amazing people who come and work here in the basement studio. whether it's Adam who comes every week or two or whenever, Neil Bobson who works for us, Marie, we've got some great people who all do different jobs, and we all sit and we go through all the artists and go through what's happening with each artist. But
is that weekly, that meeting?
Yeah, we every time, once a week we do try and have that meeting to some degree. Sometimes it's really long, and sometimes, like yesterday, it was quite brief because we had a lot to get on with. So it was just, let's talk about the ones who are actually doing stuff at the moment, and have got stuff going on.
Doing stuff as in creating or performing, or just being active. Full stop.
We've got artists who are active. And artists who aren't active. We've got artists who have got albums out at the moment, or they're about to release an album, or they're going on tour. We've got artists who are, for the next 6 months, writing their next album.
Yeah.
Who we don't need to talk about right now. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But then we've got artists like Dele Shasimi at the moment, whose album's coming out in like 2 weeks' time, 2 or 3 weeks' time. We've got a whole PR campaign going on. We've got millions of interviews that I'm liaising with for him. He's got live shows coming up next couple of months. Photo shoots that we've done and we're going to do. Videos, artwork, all these different things.
What makes a potential artist attractive? Do they need to have
nice hair?
Just I'm totally.
Yeah, if you stood in your head, you'd be fine. What makes an artist attractive to Wawa, to us?
Yeah, to you guys, yeah.
Well, like I alluded to before, someone that we can get on with, someone who's willing to work hard, someone who writes their own music.
Yeah.
Ideally, someone who can perform that music live, in whether that's with a laptop and someone on the banjo, or whether it's a 58-piece band. Whatever it is, or whether it's just singing solo with a backing track, whatever it is, as long as they're willing to get on stage and do that performance, then they're definitely more interesting to us. Okay. Live music has always been a huge part of what we do. We started in London at the Jazz Cafe, and so we were always around live music. That's part of what we believe in.
Have you ever had to deal with a talented artist that is great in terms of creating sounds and music, but in terms of stage confidence they lack? Mm. And do you help them?
I'm not going to tell you who they are.
Yeah. No, just generally.
We've had a few artists who've lacked confidence, and understandably so, because a lot of the time they're artists who are doing this for the very first time.
Yeah.
And we've got artists that have gone from that to becoming incredibly confident performers. We've got artists who've gone from that to giving up and doing something else. Yeah. That's life. There's all their lives, we're dealing with, and they vary. But yeah, it feels like a great achievement when you create something and you actually then you sit back and you see them on stage. And you're like,
yeah, I helped make this.
This is, and then we've got artists like Dele and The Milk, whose album's going to come out in a few months' time. A new signing of ours, who was signed to Sony before The Milk. So they're just incredible artists, incredible performers, like probably, the Milk and Dele, two of the most confident performers we've ever had on the label. And then you've got artists like Resonators, who the first time I put them on were at was at the Vibe Bar in Brick Lane. Remember that venue?
Yeah.
It's
great.
Still there? No, it's gone. It's closed down.
Is it not?
It's closed down. The building's still there, but it's closed.
Bar.
Yeah.
Isn't that by Truman Brewery?
Yeah, it's in part of the Truman Brewery. Yeah, it's not a venue anymore.
Oh wow!
I think it's offices now. It's just all offices.
Oh, okay.
And now they're doing some of the biggest reggae festivals in the world.
Sick.
And incredible. Well, they've always been incredible performers, but like so incredible now.
Yeah.
It's a really gratifying thing to be able to do that.
So artists don't necessarily need to have a following before people like yourself take interest in them.
No.
If you see potential,
it's a bonus. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
it's a huge bonus.
Yeah.
If they've got an audience and a following and a fan base, that's a huge bonus. But if we see potential and they're real, and the other thing that's important about an artist is to be realistic. And this is all part of being a good person. But it's not necessarily that they're not a good person. It's just sometimes you get artists, and again, understandably so, who have a certain opinion of how things work. And maybe that isn't realistic, and they think that in the next 6 months they're going to be the biggest thing in the world. Yeah. And it's our job to make that happen. If it doesn't happen in 6 months, then we've failed, and we're the arseholes. Yeah. Okay. When you're taking a massive gamble on them, spending money on them, and spending your own money on them, and trying to make it happen.
Yeah. Is there an average time? In regard to how?
No, there's no rules to these things. I think I don't know.
Just work ethic. Just get out there.
It all depends on the person and their work ethic, and luck. Like everything else we've been talking about, things happen for bands and for artists.
You totally believe in luck?
Yeah.
Because you work your socks off.
All right, make your own luck. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But yeah, you do make your own luck. Absolutely. It's still luck though.
Yeah.
But you're still often in the right place at the right time. Like you could say, if I hadn't met Giles Peterson in that underground car park, then maybe that wouldn't happen. But then probably because I was making my own luck and doing what I was doing, and I was in his face every day, it would have happened somewhere else. But things do happen that are a bit of serendipity, and things happen, and there is that as well. But yeah, a bit of both really.
Nice, man. I'm inspired. Listen, good luck with the festival. Thank you
very much.
Me, and sorry that this mic kept slipping down, man.
That's all right. I'm enjoying it. It's a bit like a bit of limbo action.
Wow, I'm going to leave it at that. See, I don't actually know if I believe in luck, I'm kind of undecided on it all. It was an interesting conversation there. But there you go. That's Dom Servini, all-round music G, who supposedly done everything by accident. But as we know, the guy's worked hard, he's been focused, and he just does what he loves to do. Again, you can check him out online. On Twitter, it's at Dom Servini, DOMSERVINI. Check out the record company, it's at Wah-Wah45s, WAH45S, wahwah45s.com. And if you want to hit Southern Soul Festival, you can check out southernsoulfestival.com, which is on the 25th to the 28th of June, that's going to be. I'd love to go down, and let's see how life pans out over the next month for me. You can check me out, ReubenChristian.com, all my Twitter handles, all my social handles, all my Twitter handles, as if I have dual identities. What kind of sick man would do that, eh? Yeah, I used to do that back in the day to spy on exes. It's / Reuben Christian, other than Instagram, which is / Reuben Christian1. Now, guys, if you're inspired, if you liked what you heard in the interview, please feel free to if you want, or if you don't want to you can feel free to repost it online on Facebook or on your social handles, because we are trying to spread messages of good vibes, and we're trying to raise aspirations instead of complaining. Yeah? Thanks. Peace out, and I love you like I love eggs. Well, not as much, but I love you, I really do. Find out what you're here to do and go and do that. Because before you know it, you're gonna be dead. Aren't you? And you know that I know that you know it's the truth. Come on, get up. Do you, please. Thank you.